Crank up the volume and get ready for real-world bird hunting by listening to the Wingmen Podcast by Eastmans. Now your host, Todd Helms.
This episode's brought to you by Federal Premium. Guys, I've been shooting federal shot shells for a really long time. You know, whenever I had to scratch up money from whatever chores I had to do and jobs I had to do when I was a kid, I always grabbed a box of Federal Premium. It worked for me back then, and it still works for me today. Everything from the TSS heavyweight black cloud loads to the traditional black cloud loads to the blue box speed shock and now the new heavy bismuth loads. Federal's got a load out there for your price point, your budget, and your level of performance that you're looking for. So, be like me, reach for Federal. That is my unashamed opinion. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Wingmen Podcast. Doing things a little different today, trying out some new tech. So I apologize if maybe my sound isn't perfect, but we're going to roll with it. I've got Jason Sypherd on with me today. Jason is a lot of things to a lot of folks. Dude, thank you for your time. Really appreciate you carving it out. You and I, you're a super busy guy, and just getting to a spot where you have Wi-Fi is a challenge.
Yeah, they don't have Wi-Fi so well down here in Colorado. But yeah, how you doing? Thanks for having me, Todd. I really appreciate it. It's an honor.
No, I appreciate it, man. No, things are going great. Summer's winding down. We're sitting here early August. It's August 8th. As you and I sit here and talk, it's my middle child's birthday today, her golden birthday. She turns 8 on 8. So pretty cool. 888. That's pretty exciting. But yeah, man, we've been training dogs and shooting shotguns and getting ready for fall. It's a great time of year.
Yeah, indeed. It's really, really busy for us here. With the Gear Guide Colorado thing going on, and then I'm also the co-owner of Fortune Homes down here in Colorado Springs. So there's a lot of things going on. Super busy, but man, I'm just excited about the fall hunting season. It's great.
Yeah. So what's on the docket? What do you got coming up?
Yeah, so I've got a couple of goose hunts with Platte Basin Outdoors, and then I've got a big game hunt down in New Mexico it's the first time I've ever hunted in New Mexico. I'm going to go down there and see if I can harvest an elk. But aside from all of that, I was able to draw one tag this year in Colorado, and it was for a pronghorn out in the Eastern Plains. And I usually get that tag, primitive muzzleloader. So we'll see how that goes. But I gotta take another buddy with me. He's never shot a pronghorn, so I said, okay, I'll take you out there. So guiding and trying to fill the freezer and get the stories rolling so we can have bonfire stuff to talk about.
Heck yeah, that's the best part of hunting, dude. I don't care if it's waterfowl, upland, big game. It's just the bonfire stories sitting around after, all throughout the year. We dream about September through February all year round, and us crazy turkey guys dream about, April and May too. But, and there's hunting. The beautiful thing about hunting is you can do it almost year round. I know the Platte Basin crew shoots a lot of pigeons in the summertime, which is a great way to keep your eyes sharp for those goose and duck hunts.
Oh yeah.
We've got mountain grouse season opening in less than a month. Dove season opens in less than a month. There's just a lot of cool stuff coming up, man. And I'm with you. I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
Jacked. Let's go.
Yeah. No, it's all about making sure your kit's, organized, ready to rock. That's the time of year for us. We go through I don't want to say it's a liquidation. We go through a discovery of, oh yeah, I bought that last year. Oh yeah, I was going to use that, never got to, which is part of what I do with Gear Guide Colorado is I try to introduce new equipment, new things that I've discovered online, or maybe it's out at like one of the archery events. There's vendors. There's a special broadhead for a turkey. Did you know that? But
don't get me started on bow hunting for turkeys.
If you've looked at my Instagram, you'll see that my wife and I are both avid archers. We love turkey hunting. It's probably our favorite game animal in the spring and in the fall. It's just, I don't know, becoming one-on-one with a turkey is pretty magical, but yeah, there's you're going through your discovery phase of, this is the equipment I bought, is it up to speed, charging batteries for cameras, making sure the calls aren't out of tune, because that's really important. There's just a lot of things going on right now. Waterproof bags for in the field for goose hunting. Do you have any holes in it? There's a lot of stuff.
I got a new
on.
puppy in the house right now, and he's been we're only on week 2, so we're still in, we're not hardcore training yet. But I've had so many puppies chew stuff up that I didn't realize until it came right down to the last second, getting ready the night before hunt, loading up. It seems like the blind bag is the one that takes the beating. And it's because to a dog, it smells good, lots of good smells. And I've come up with buckles missing. I've come up with straps chewed off. I mean, you name it. And it's on me for not, taking the time ahead of season to look more carefully at those things. You're so busy getting the dog dialed, getting your shooting dialed, getting your blinds built, getting your scout right, that sometimes those little pieces of equipment can get overlooked. But that's, Gear Guide Colorado, run us through that. What is that? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so Gear Guide Colorado actually started as what I was just discussing. We would find equipment, try to bring it forward, highlight it. It started off, usually it was smaller companies that we were trying to help them get started up. It's unique in the fact that I try to find these companies, and then if I like it, if it's in my feed, if it's in my Instagram, it's something I fully support. It means I've vetted it, I've tested it, I've used it, and said, hey, it meets the price point for the product quality that it is, and you should be using this. And it very quickly evolved into something much bigger, because we're centric around hunting, fishing, outdoors, everything. It started to become, okay, let's go record some hunts, or let's go use this equipment in the field and try to bring it forward that way. And what's happened is the evolution of Gear Guide Colorado has become, if I'm doing it outdoors, I'm going to record it somehow, and I'm going to make a reel for it, and I'm going to try to bring it forward, right? Because there's 500,000 different camo companies out there. There's probably just as many calls. Everything from what type of shotgun are you shooting, and I started to say, okay, well, which shotgun can I afford, right? Because we don't, we're not poor people, but we're certainly not millionaires, and all this stuff costs money, right? So the outdoor industry is just, I still can't figure out why a shotgun has to cost the amount that it does, or for the fact of a bow. Why does a bow cost almost more money now than a really good rifle, So I've tried to vet some of these products and bring them forward. But then what's happened is I've been able to bring some of these companies together, which is the critical aspect of what Gear Guide Colorado does. You're not going to see Maroon Bell Outdoor without something Platte Basin related. Matter of fact, I'm not responsible for this, but to the point, Maroon Bell Outdoor actually has a custom glove for Platte Basin Outdoors, which is just incredible, and we try not to.
Dude, I've got a pair, and I absolutely love them.
Yeah, no, they're fire, as John Brunelli would say. Yeah, they're fire.
Oh, greasy. Yeah.
But keeping in contact with these guys, and then just trying to stay ahead of the ball game. Like I just found out this morning that I'm sure Aspen Grady of PBO as well. She's actually heading to Outdoorsman Days down in Florence, Colorado, right now as we speak. She came back from Hawaii, and now she's heading down there. And it's like, wow, I didn't even know that. Oh goodness, why am I not there today? Oh, I have 6 job sites to go visit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll try to hit it up tomorrow and get down there. And I really enjoy watching the vendors, seeing what they're doing, what's unfolding in our in our outdoor world. I don't want to call it industry, but in our world, and try to encapsulate it and bring it to the common hunter, the average guy who's going out trying to hunt. I myself have hunted since I was, gosh, I think Dad took us out when we were 8 years old to squirrel hunt for the first time, and that just stuck, But so that's kind of what Gear Guy Colorado is. It's influencing. Holistically, it's influencing.
Yeah, and I think that word influencing or influencer gets thrown around, and it's lost so much credibility, and because it's saturated, and it's just like, oh yeah, an influencer, and automatically when you hear the word influencer, your mind thinks of some beautiful young woman who's wearing quite revealing clothing, and it's like, okay, yeah, that I guess, but yeah. I fall into that as well, because honestly, that is being a content producer. That is what I am. That label fits me as well. And
right.
I feel a deep responsibility as well, Jason, to give honest reviews and opinions on equipment. So when somebody's spending their hard-earned dime on a shotgun, that they can watch one of my Weatherby shotgun reviews and they can go, man, he really seems like he likes that Sorex shotgun.
Right.
And there's 4 other hunt videos of me using the shotgun, showing it in action. And it's like, okay, and then having people call me or message me, hey, what do you really think? What's this? And being able to work with brands and companies who I can say, this is an awesome piece of equipment. That Weatherby Sorex just flat out works, man. The new Element 2, it's a great piece of equipment. Kryptek camo. We love the Kryptek stuff. It hides us better
we do.
than anything else on the market.
So yeah, to your point, I think it's important.
I've been Federal premium ammunition since I was a kid.
Yeah. No, I think it's important to be candid and honest about the products, because that has resonance amongst your audience or your friends and family or whoever it is. I mean, let's be honest. There's 14,000 some change, whatever, followers on someone's account. Only half of them are probably legit, and only about a third of them are the ones that are going to be really dialed in and listening to what it is you're talking about or what it is you're advertising. So I've always made it a point to never, I guess, trash mouth a company, because I understand that there's price points for different people.
Right.
What works for me is whatever. There's the the point of what's the word I'm looking for when you have a vested interest in one company, so you won't talk about another one.
Anyway, I know what you mean.
Yeah, there's like a marriage to that company, so you won't, and that's not who I am. As a matter of fact, it was Mike Tracy of PBO who brought me into to the fold on, hey, check out Kryptek Flyway. And I'd already had Kryptek in the Army, doing some special stuff, testing it out. And I thought the Highlander pattern was amazing then. The commanders didn't really appreciate it though, because it was different, a different uniform. And I was like, but hey, it works. Right. Look at this soldier in the field and look at this soldier in the field. So bringing that back to PBO, at least in Colorado, the Flyway dead zone pattern is just, it is the pattern that works well here. And we've proven it, there's other companies out there. There's a lot more expensive companies out there. I'm just not sure that, at least for me, in my experience, the offset of price over quality is like, am I paying for a Lamborghini or do I have a Chevy truck? Like,
right.
Which one is?
And will that Chevy truck serve me just as well, if not better, than the Lamborghini? Right. And that's one of the things I appreciate about Kryptek. The dead zone pattern, that Flyway dead zone pattern, works really well in about 75% of the stuff that we hunt in.
Yeah.
And the other pattern, the original Highlander pattern, for where we hunt in a lot of the river bottoms and things, hiding in the brush, that original pattern works phenomenal. And so does the whitetail pattern, the Skyfall pattern.
Skyfall, yeah.
It blends. Yeah. It's a little bit darker. It blends in with that brush a little better. But man, anytime I'm hunting corn, dead vegetated grasses, marsh stuff, The flyaway pattern is, holy smokes. When I first tested it, and I'll be very honest about it, the first time I got it out of the box, it was in the office under the fluorescent lights.
Yeah.
And my very first thought was, this is too yellow. It is yellow under fluorescent lights. And I was like, okay. Well, then we went out in the field and shot a review of it it was early September, mid-September. So the corn was a little green, but it was pretty well browned up.
Yeah.
And we did a test. I stood 2 rows deep in a cornfield, not 5, not 1. I stood 2 because I'm like, 2, you could still see me.
Yeah, it's about the standoff. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 rows in. At 50 yards, you couldn't see me.
Yeah.
And I put my head down like I was actually working birds, you know.
Yeah.
You could not see me until I like waved. At 30 yards, you could kind of make out the side of my face a little bit, but I didn't have my face covering on.
Yeah.
At 15 yards, you could see my face, but you still had a hard time seeing my outline. And I'm like, you know what? If I get ducks and geese to 15 yards,
that's it.
Finished, dude. I mean, the camo has done its job.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I love products that do what they say they're going to do, and they kind of sell themselves. You know,
I think so. Yeah.
Once you get them out there, you know, I could hand just about anybody a box of Federal Premium Black Cloud, especially the TSS loads, and be like, go shoot these and tell me what you think. And they're going to knock down birds and they're going to be happy with it because it's a good product.
Yeah.
You know, same with, so Leupold has a new, I'm wearing the Leupold t-shirt, but Leupold came out with a new set of eyewear this summer. And if you haven't seen these, dude, you need to. They're, it's called a Daylight Max lens.
Okay.
And it lightens and darkens. But and I've used them all summer long for fishing, and I can fish right up until dark wearing those things.
Huh.
So for me, having my eyes protected in a duck blind or a goose blind in those low light scenarios, I mean, how many times early in the morning are you shooting birds and your eyes are uncovered because you can't put your sunglasses on because they're too dark?
Yeah, good point.
Well, Leupold's like, let's make a set of eyewear, let's make a lens that'll work in low light conditions and in bright sun. And it's unreal. And everybody that I've handed those glasses to puts them on. They're like, whoa. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if it's hot, bright sun, fly fishing in the middle of the day, or a drizzly, rainy afternoon. Every single person is like, these are amazing. I was like,
interesting.
That's a good product. That goes right to the point of what we're talking about. Yeah. And what you guys with the Colorado Gear Guide do is you're finding good products and you're vetting them so folks can go, well, Jason likes them, so they got to be good be decent. Yeah. How hard is it to establish that credibility though, that folks will actually like, yeah, if Jason says it's good, it's good.
So I've got a plethora of military buddies, right? 20 years in the Army has taught me that, you know, bridges burn or bridges gone, unless you have a watercraft. But, you know, I've got a lot of good, honest buddies who will critique me as well, which I don't take offense to. I go, you know what, you're right. My reputation is on the line, and I need to come forward with this and talk about it. There was a company online that was selling a folding shotgun stock adapter. And I thought, wow, man, they got a sale on them. Let me check and see what these are. And these are for ARs, of course, you know, but this is just an example. I started to talk about, hey, this thing's really cool. The shipping was great. Customer service is awesome. Huge on customer service, by the way. If you don't have good customer service, it doesn't matter what you're selling.
Right.
The product shows up. We did a little bit of testing on it after I'd already, and this is where I'm very careful now. I preemptively made a reel about it, and we did some testing on it. And a buddy, he calls me up and he says, "Hey, Jason, I don't know if you know this or not, but that's not really made out of steel. It's made out of aluminum. and it's junk, and on a higher caliber AR-10 platform or AR-15 platform, or even any AR-10 platform, this thing could explode. And he said, I really think that you should change what you've put out there. So it kind of forced my hand, and I had to go do some more research on this thing, and figured out that, yeah, I probably shouldn't advertise this thing, and let's just stay with the original. You're going to spend a little more money, but at least it's not going to blow up in your face.
Right.
So vetting,
brands. Yeah, man, keep going.
Yeah. So vetting products, first of all, starts with, I invest a little bit of my own money. And I try these things out, and I say, okay, let me see if this works. And if it catches my attention, Todd, and if it's something that's like, wow, I can't believe more people aren't doing this or using it, I'm the first guy to say, hey, look, Montana Knife Company makes the very best knives on the planet. And I know that they're going to cost some money, but here's why you should invest in one. I don't have a ton of money to go spend on tools for the butcher block. But I did. And you know what? I have 2 knives from MKC, and with their Generations Promise, Josh over there, I spoke with him a little bit online, and these guys are legit, right? So building the credibility starts with, I try the equipment out first.
Mm-hmm.
And it evolves into, hey, dude, what does it take to get on your jersey? And the jersey, of course, it's its own advertising billboard thing. It also looks cool. But we, my wife, myself, Aspen, I got a buddy, Mark, got a guy that used to be with us, and he moved out of the state. But we are the Gear Guy Colorado team, which is also marketing, right? I mean, it's advertising. But if there's a company's name on that jersey, it has resonance with us. It means that we use it, and we love it. So to the point, to get people to buy into what we're selling, the simple process is don't sell it. You shouldn't need to sell it. The fact that we're using it, and you can see us in different applications using whatever the product is, should sell itself. And it does ultimately. So a lot of fun doing the Gear Guy Colorado stuff. I'll never trash mouth a company. I just won't talk about you. And if I don't have you on my jersey, or if I don't have you in my topics of discussion, it's not that I disagree. It's just that I think there's something better that's a little bit more price quality comparable. So
yep, I agree 100%. It's there's a lot of great stuff out there, and there's a lot of mediocre stuff out there. There's a little bit of poor stuff out there.
Yeah.
And we ran into a company years back that was pretty poor. Yeah. And we worked pretty hard with them to provide feedback, and it fell on deaf ears, and that relationship ended. And that's okay, because it was pretty obvious in some of the production that we were doing at the time that we were struggling with that product.
Yeah.
And finally there was one incident on a video that the product failed on camera, and I chose to leave it in the video.
Yeah.
And I said, we've done our due diligence. We've tried really hard to work with this company, and folks need to see that it's not all sunshine and rainbows out there all the time. When your gear isn't up to snuff or up to the challenge, it's frustrating. And that, like I said, that relationship ended. It was going to end anyway. And it ended kind of on its own, kind of naturally. But I had a hard time using that product on camera and putting my name behind it and my reputation behind it.
Yeah.
Wingmen brand behind it, because I didn't believe in it. It was one of those things, and I'm like, no, I wouldn't sell one of these to a friend. So I can't recommend them on camera, and they had other products in their line that were really, really good. And those ones, I would showcase those.
Yep.
And this particular company wanted another product showcased more, and it just wasn't. And I was like, I'm not lying to my I'm not lying to my viewers. I'm not lying to my followers. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, especially when I don't know about you, but I mean, I don't get paid for any of this advertising stuff. I mean, obviously I get some, here's some equipment, try it out, review it for us, product test stuff. But I don't get paid to do this. So why would I, I've always said this, Todd, you can't pay me enough to lie for your company to build a stock market. It's just not something that I'm willing to do. My own integrity is important. And I really, really think that, and I just remember like when we were young, our dad didn't have a lot of money. I have a twin brother, and we had these older guns, and I will forever remember them. They were all Remington, by the way. And I try to think about the average guy who's taking his son or daughter or his spouse out, or the lady who's, she's trying to get into hunting and fishing, but she's scared, right? What is the product that is out there that I honestly believe in? It works, and it does everything. And you said due diligence, and that's what we do, right? But that's part of hunting, is share the story. You can't be a harvest master if you're not showing other people how to do it, because it's, unfortunately, these generations that we're in now, what they're seeing is tech, right? They're not going outdoors. They're not doing the things, and they probably don't even know where to start. So to my point that I'm trying to make is being candid and honest about the products that we use are a critical asset of, in my opinion, everything we do outdoors. We got to get the equipment out there so that, it's something people can afford. Nobody's going to go out and spend $5,000 on this other brand of camo company, and I think we know who I'm talking about, if they're not going to wear it and have good experiences with it. But if I spend half that much and I can outfit my entire family, and we go out, we're sharing experiences, and now we have stories to tell. That's where kind of the metal meets the road right there, or the rubber meets the road, I should say. Yeah, I just think that it's important to get all this out there, as well as the hunting. I mean, we could go into days of discussion about scouting for winged creatures and all this other stuff, and we could dive into which optics and all kinds of stuff, right? But the point is, how do I get there? How do I even get into, say, the pit blind with Platte Basin Outdoors? How do I do that? Well, that's kind of where our due diligence is. Do the research, figure it out. Hey, if you want to link up with Platte Basin Outdoors, it's probably one of the best guide services in Colorado. In my opinion, the very best. Have some of the best world-class callers, and they get the results done. This is who you call. This is what you should probably have ready. And by the way, here's my information. If you want to call me directly and get the information firsthand, getting them in the pit is always the challenge. It's not the hunt. The hunt takes care of itself.
Yep.
So.
No, I completely agree. I feel like we live in an information age.
Yeah.
And it's almost, there's so much information available, more than at any other time in the history of humanity. You can click a few buttons on your phone or a computer and have so much information at your disposal that it's easy to get paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
And you just don't do anything. You don't pull the trigger on anything because you can't figure it out. There's people telling you this, and you're seeing this in publications, or you're seeing this on TV or YouTube. And there's so much information that having a resource like what you do and like what I do that says, hey, we get it. Here's the stuff that we use. We believe in it. There's other stuff out there that works too. But these are some pretty good starting points. Back to the Kryptek stuff, I honestly feel like for the price point that you get it for, it's high quality gear that's going to keep you comfortable and hidden and in the field until you want to leave the field.
Yes. Yep.
And because Batman, when I was a kid, if you weren't stupid tough, you didn't last in the field very long because you were wet, you were cold,
your feet were numb, your hands were numb, and you were soaked to the bone. And it's like, that's just the way it was.
Yeah.
And there wasn't another option. Well, now there's options for all kinds of stuff. And there's so many great companies that are making really good stuff that you could spend a huge sum of money to outfit yourself.
Yep.
Or you could spend not quite as much and outfit you, your wife, and your kids and be covered. You know, in my family, there's 5 of us. I have 3 little kids, 10, 8, and 4. I make sure my wife's clothing is dialed.
Oh yeah.
And for them
huge.
and for my kids, they're outgrowing stuff so fast at this point that it's like hand-me-downs and garage sales and my wife is a master thrift store shopper.
Oh yeah.
And she's figured out that daddy's not going to like that pink puffy coat in a duck. So olive drab, blacks, earth tone colors. If it's camo, fine. But the most important thing at that point is when it comes to your family is are they on our waterfowl hunts? It's cold.
Yeah.
Are they warm? Can they be warm without me having to haul a giant heater down to a blind on a river it's a pain in the butt, or you go jump in a pit with Mike and John at Platte Basin and it's heated, it's comfortable, you're smashing birds, you're laughing, you're having a good time, there's food, it's like, okay. I remember the first time I ever drove the Front Range during, I think it was December. I was headed to Oklahoma to hunt cranes and little geese. And we drove around the airport, DIA.
Yep.
And there's just birds everywhere, they're just flying around all over the place. And I was like, man, this would be super cool to hunt this stuff. And it dawned on me, I'm like, this is not a place you DIY.
No.
Because everything's leased. The competition level's through the roof. The public is marginal at best.
Yeah.
So it's like, it would make more sense for me to buy a couple days with Platte Basin Outdoors and have a successful, fun hunt than it would to go beat my head against the wall trying to find a place to hunt and get on and burn up a bunch of gas. It's like there's times when a DIY hunt, even on public, especially on public, is incredibly, incredibly productive, and you come out feeling like the king of the world, when you're successful. But there's other times when you go to an area like that, it's like there's a lot of birds there. The shooting is phenomenal, but you're not going to DIY that hunt realistically.
No.
So having a vetted source, having someone like yourself that you can call about, whether it's a hunt with Platte Basin or whether it's maroon bell leather gloves or whether it's, clothing, Kryptek clothing, whatever it might be, I get messages, emails, phone calls all the time. Hey, what's your favorite? I shot all these geese and ducks. I got a bunch of them in the freezer. I saw a video you did about making goose bratwurst.
Yeah.
With high mountain bratwurst seasoning. Is it really as easy as it looked, or is it really good? And I can wholeheartedly say, do it. Go get some high mountain seasoning kits. Go get the bratwurst kit and make a bunch of brats, man, out of your geese. You're gonna like them. They're gonna be great. You learn little things doing it. Like I do it differently now than I did when I made that video. I learned, but having a quality product that even when I screw up the process, the end result tastes good.
Yeah.
It's like, that's pretty awesome to have. I told you my little girl turned 8 today. And before I came into work this morning, I asked her a couple days ago, I was like, what do you want for your birthday dinner? She said, I want ribs and mommy's homemade macaroni and cheese. I was like, done. So I got ribs and I forgot rib rub, and I'm not savvy enough to make my own. So I'm like, and I'm doing 3 racks of ribs because we got folks coming over for this. And I'm like, all right, thank goodness. I pulled a rib rub bottle out of the cabinet, the High Mountain Seasoning rib rub.
Yep.
And it's got an inch of rib rub in the bottom of the bottle. And it's a big bottle. And I'm like, oh man. Uh-oh.
Better figure it
Well,
out.
the grocery store's open. So what do? I run to the grocery store, and a lot of the places in Wyoming, a lot of the stores, sporting goods stores and grocery stores carry high Mountain Seasonings products.
Yeah.
Like an end cap or something. Right there's rib rub. I grabbed 2 bottles.
Yep.
And I'm like, I wasn't prepared, but thank goodness that I could find this stuff locally, because my kids have eaten it so much that what if I use a different rib rub, they're like, Daddy, these don't taste the same. And I'm like, because I didn't use high seasoning or high Mountain seasoning.
Yep.
It's those little things, dude. You get ingrained in a product. You get products and companies that you work with and you like. You get to know, and you're like, yeah, man. We went to Canada a couple years ago, and we're on a hunt.
Yeah.
And it was during COVID, and we played it safe, and we only took 2 boxes of Federal Premium for a week of hunting. And our thought, because the ammunition was provided, and we were like, okay, well, we'll film cutaways and B-roll and we'll shoot the Federal Premium a little bit just to have it. But we were nervous about bringing cases of ammunition into Canada.
Oh yeah.
It's like, knowing what I know now, it would not have been an issue. We crossed this tiny little border town, not even a town. It's just a wide spot in the road in northern Montana. And it was cake. It was the easiest border crossing I've ever done. They were sick of COVID. We were sick of COVID. They were like,
yeah.
They didn't even ask for our vaccination. I mean, nothing.
Yep.
And it was like, sign the paperwork, come on in, couple questions, and we were on our way. Have fun hunting, eh?
Yeah.
And, so we roll up there, and the first day we're knocking out B-roll, using all the Federal stuff, and we shot a couple birds with the Federal as well. So you could see it ejecting out of the gun and all the different things. But we only had 4 boxes total, and we kind of wanted to save it in case we needed it more. So we stopped shooting our Federal, and we started shooting this ammunition. I'd never heard of it before, and I won't say the name.
Yeah.
Never heard of it before. And it was all of a sudden, I'm not hitting birds.
Yep.
And my buddy's not hitting birds. And if we do hit them, they come down alive.
Yeah.
And these birds are in the decoys, dude. I mean, it's not hard shooting, and it's not way out there. These birds shoot stone dead with rock salt, right?
Yeah.
And dude, we couldn't hit them. And when like I said, it was so frustrating. And I remember the second day, I missed this group of speckle bellies, dumps in the decoys, and I stand up and whiff twice and cripple a bird on my 3rd shot, shooting at the same bird.
Yeah.
I'm like, there is no way. There is no way. I was all over that bird. I said, you know what? I'm putting the Federal back in the gun. Next flock comes in. I had three Federal Premium Black Clouds, 3-inch 2s in the gun.
Yeah.
And I tripled.
Yep.
Bang, bang, bang on Canada's. And I'm like, if that's not a testament for using good quality gear and equipment, I don't know what is. And so we burned up the rest of we saved it for the last day, saved the rest of our Federal Premium Black Cloud for the last day. And it was good. It ended up being the best hunt of the 5 days. And it was like, I'm glad we were using the quality ammo on the last day, because it was epic. But it blows my mind, the differences in gear. And I don't care what brands, what companies, even within companies, you'll find certain pieces that aren't up to snuff and others that are awesome.
Yeah.
No.
So I think what you're talking about, and this is more on that, but efficiency in the harvest, right? Because I mean, you can shoot an animal. We don't want to wound the animal, and I think that's one of the things that I also try to discuss when I'm talking to people who've never hunted before. How could you shoot that poor animal? Well, I understand that you've probably had bad experiences or have seen people do things wrong,
or you're brainwashed.
Yeah, or they're brainwashed.
Propaganda.
I'd rather know what's going in my family's diet, and what's in my freezer is a testament to we eat plenty of wild game that's been cradled to I call it cradled to the plate, harvested effectively, efficiently, and honestly, Todd, I spent, like I said, 20 years in the Army, And there's a lot of bad in the world. There's a lot of people who just don't have their head screwed on straight and think that wounding something is okay as long as it doesn't come back to get you later. I'm a huge believer in if I'm going to take this animal from the wild, first of all, I'm going to do it efficiently and effectively. I'm always going to say thank you, and I continue to say thank you, and I've always done this, all the way to the point where I'm at the grill, or I'm at the smoker, or we're at the oven, and we're making this animal. I'm just like, wow, this is not store-bought crap that those poor animals suffered, right? And you can taste it in the meat, you really can. But I'm huge on efficiency in the harvest, which is kind of to your point about federal. Federal ammunitions it's a great load. They make great metallic shot as well, or loads as well. Kind of how I started reloading actually was through watching what Federal does, and of course Federal Premium, and then their custom shop. So much so that I designed my own custom shop. Now I'm not going to say that I model. Let me put it this way. Mike Tracy called me up and he asked me. He said, "Hey, dude, I want to build a tungsten shot," and I'm sure that
I was hoping you were going to get to this.
I'm sure you've seen it. There was a lot of discovery involved in coming up with how this load development would work out. I was a little nervous, knowing ballistics and knowing shot densities and formulas and all this other stuff. The recipe for this was going to be a challenge by way of what Mike was asking for, and I said, "Okay, buddy, let's put our heads together and figure this out." He said, I want a duplex load with tungsten and with steel. No one has this, and this, and I want to be able to hit 80 yards. And I kind of laughed. I was like, well, that's outside the realistic capabilities of a shotgun. At that point, that's where my brain was at. It was like, no, 80 yards with a shotgun, that's just, the max effect is 40 to 50 yards tops, period. But in the development of this load, I went through Ballistic Products, which is also one of our sponsors / collaborators. Ballistic Products Incorporated is a company where I was purchasing the parts and the pieces that I needed to develop this load. I did it right out here in my shop, and built the first set of load. All right, and it's an amazing duplex. It's perfectly crimped. It's watertight. It's awesome. We got and shoot it, and I noticed that the pattern density was huge. So it caused a little bit more research and development. Okay, so what's going on here? Let's add a little bit more tungsten while not overinflating the total density of the load, because with tungsten, I'm telling you, one pellet off and you could have a catastrophic failure. But I kind of tweaked some numbers and moved some things around, adjusted some powder, and it came down to crimp tightness. And what we discovered is, over the course of almost 6 months of development, both down here at the ranch that we shoot at down south, and then further up north at Mike's range up there, aka his house, we were able to develop a load that at 50 yards, we'll call it the cone of fire, that the density of the shot was at 50 yards. I think it was like 15 or 25 inches or something like that. Between 15 and 25 inches was the steel part of the load. But the tungsten stayed together almost like a missile. And it was doing the job. And then it came down to, okay, well, now we're having some feeding, chambering, and stuff issues. Okay, well, that had to do with the roll crimp. Actually, it was just the crimp, but then we added a little bit of a roll to that crimp as well. And man, on a gas gun like the Remington V3 Waterfowl Pros, it won't. The V3 Waterfowl Pro doesn't chamber some shot shells very well, and I figured out why. And it had to do with that just a little bit of crimp at the end of or roll at the end of your crimp, so that it feeds the ramp and locks in and of course ejects properly. We developed a round that is just phenomenal for long range. So if a mid-range Carlson choke or a long-range Carlson choke, and you're using our PBO custom loads, and this is not to take anything away from Federal at all, because we love Federal,
Well, but you saw something like Mike and I've talked about this, and he's like, it's fun to play. It's fun to play. And honestly, the guys at Federal would be like, well, yeah, that's how we develop a lot of our own loads is we play, you know?
So we built these loads, and I'm happy to say that we've developed something that's pretty unique. They're not horribly expensive. They're not cheap. It's tungsten. You know, tungsten's becoming harder and harder to come up with.
It's expensive stuff.
But if you have a box of that on standby, you know, you can literally fire it out of any gun and see those results that you're talking about. And we are able to bring the animals down efficiently, and sometimes they're sniper shots. All right, sometimes they're 50 yards out, and I witnessed this with my own eyes. I watched Mike shoot a tandem pair of geese at almost 80 yards in the air. It was just incredible. I was like, my God, you know, 80 yards with tungsten, probably not on purpose. He'll tell you differently, but we know Mike. So, but I watched these birds fall, and I was just impressed with all of it. So, just like that custom load that we developed, and that shotgun that we were using at the time, and that camo pattern those all brought it together to create that one story. And the best part about it, it's true. We were there. We got it on video.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the other part of Gear Guide Colorado is I get to build custom duplex loads for PBO, and the guys love them. Everybody that shot them said, hey, these are awesome, but I'm still trying to tweak something. You know, I got to figure it out. I can make this better. Well, I think we're probably already there.
No, that's so cool, man. And that's one of the things that I love about talking to guys like you, Jason, is the passion for the passion for the lifestyle, and it's all encompassing, whether it's developing your own duplex, you know, tungsten loads, or figuring out how different camo works and playing with this piece of equipment, right down to, I mean, cooking meat on the grill. It's all part of the process. And I feel like you're constantly learning, you're constantly growing in all of those things, where, you know, I don't do things the exact same way that I used to, because I figured out better ways to do it.
Right.
And one of my responsibilities here at Wingmen, and you with Colorado Gear Guide, is to pass that knowledge on. Yep. And you know, we can talk about hunter recruitment all we want, and it's important. But retainment is, because, you know, I'm 47.
Me too.
I probably got 30, 40 more years, if I'm, you know, God willing, to do this.
Yeah.
Then what about my kids? And I had having this conversation with my oldest last night, and I said, you know, as long as you live under my roof, you will hunt, you will fish, you will trap, you know, you'll do all these things, because I want you to have an appreciation for it. I said, then when you move out and go start your own life, I'd love to see you continue that, but I don't know if you will. And one of the huge barriers that we see to retainment of hunters is opportunity and knowledge. Because, I mean, time is a very, very precious commodity. And I feel like if people can trust folks like you and I with the knowledge that we're passing on and what we're trying to help them learn, that it cuts down on their learning curve, so they can experience success faster, because they may only have 2 or 3 or 4 days of an entire fall to actually go and hunt. Where, man, when I was a kid, I was in the woods constantly. If
all the time.
In school, I was in the woods, and I was by myself a lot, and I was learning. You know, my dad had instilled skills and knowledge, and I grew it. You know, I learned my own ways, and I tried things, and I did things. That's a difficult thing for a lot of folks to do in today's world. You know, our nation is more urban than it has ever been, and it's just continuing to get worse, in my opinion. And yes, I think urban is worse than rural,
of course,
for a lot of reasons. And so you get a guy that is banking PTO, he's banking days off, and he's like, yeah, I can hunt 5 days this year. 2 of them are going to be consecutive. if I can help that person, guy, gal, whoever it might be more successful in their equipment, be more comfortable out there, be more successful in how to set up a decoy spread, how to scout properly and get on birds, then I feel like that's a super important thing to be able to do. Because the old days of, for a lot of folks, the old days of going hunting whenever you wanted to are over.
Yeah.
You know, there's a few folks that still get to do that, and there's some folks that have built their lives so they can do that. But on average, that's rare, man. And I just want people to be successful. I want people to love hunting as much as I do. Yep. And be able to pass that on to others so we can continue all of this, you know, because, you know, and there's the argument out there, and I want your opinion on this.
Yeah.
There's the argument out there that we don't need more hunters. We've got all the hunters we can handle. The tag numbers, the license sales are as high as they've ever been. We're not, because there was, I mean, for as long as I can remember, it's been hunter recruitment, hunter recruitment, hunter recruitment, hunter recruitment. And the argument about we have enough hunters, in fact, we may have too many hunters, is that there's more demand than resource available at this point. And I'm not necessarily talking animals. I'm talking a lot of it's access to places to hunt. And I can see that argument. I can see some validity in it. But at the same time, I'm looking at it going, hunting doesn't survive if people don't do it and fall in love with it. We only keep what we value.
So my opinion on that, it would be really simple, actually. And I'm trying not to go too long on why I think that this is so important of a discussion. Farmers. The world said, "Oh, we don't need all these farmers. We can buy that land and build houses and subdivisions and condos and all this other stuff." And now the problem that we're faced with is the generation of the farmer is dwindling, which you see this in all of your, I mean, look at the quality of produce now. Look at how much is available in the off season of strawberries, for instance. If we start taking away the most critical asset that we have, which is the conservationist, there will be nothing left to conserve because it will all be used up. Now, as a population, we are consumers. Here in America, in the United States, I don't care where you're at, we are consumers. And that's a sad story because it reminds me of a childhood book about the land of plenty, and there was a little cartoon made about it too. You know, what people are forgetting about is the conservationist, the true conservationist. It's about you take out of the natural resources and then you put back in. It's the same reason why I'm fly fishing and I return everything on a fly rod. I don't know why. It's something I've always done. Now, if I'm using a spinning reel, I'll probably keep those fish and bring them home and eat them. But if it's on a fly rod, that's special, and that's a high quality fish that I have seen, I've held it in my hands, and I have returned it back to the wild. Harvesting animals, the critical point of harvest of an animal is do it ethically, and bring it to benefit the masses. And however big the masses are, you know, is subjective, I guess, depending on what you're doing. But if you take the hunter out of the field, or if you take the conservationist, which is the word I love to use, out of the field, and you say we don't need that, we have plenty. I challenge those who are saying those remarks to go look at the population of animals in the wild, and see how conservation helps to provide the balance of nature. Because when the wilderness loses its balance, you know who's going to lose? All of us. And I mean mankind. Because to your point, Todd, I think that's just, there's a word I want to use, but I won't use it on your show here. That's selfish, right?
Agreed.
And to return this knowledge to our children, to continue the traditions that we've established, are not really just a fundamental tradition. It's life. This is life. So just like you want to build a condo on that farmer's field out there because no one's buying it or no one's going to continue farming, I will say to you, how about we conserve that land and we turn it into a shooting range where we can work on proficiency with bird hunters. We can build clay 5 stands on it, and we can increase and enhance proficiency with our equipment so that we can go out and harvest properly. So yeah, taking the hunter away by way of there's too many already. I would just say there's a lot of people who have access to hunting licenses that probably should not. Maybe there's some due diligence involved in investing into our education of what conservation actually is, which is one of the things I love about the.
You hit the nail on the head, Jason. I'm good friends with Ed Arnett, and Ed is Wildlife Society. I mean, just super amazing guy. I love him.
Yeah.
And one of the things, and he still teaches at CSU, and he teaches some wildlife biology courses. And one of the things that he makes his students do is go buy a hunting and fishing license, and he teaches them about the North American model of wildlife conservation. Yep. And I'm sure Ed's not alone in that, because what the problem is, what we're seeing is an infiltration in our game and fish agencies at the state levels and in the U.S. Fish and Wildlife at the national level and in the Forest Service. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on about from people who adamantly oppose hunting and true conservation. These people are preservationists. They hate hunters. They hate hunting, and they don't like conservation. And I would argue really don't like animals in the natural world very much, because they're like, just leave it alone. Leave it alone. It's fine the way, let it do its thing. And it's like, no, look at what's going on in Arizona right now with that giant wildfire burning up the Grand Canyon and the Kaibab and the Arizona Strip.
Yeah.
Dude, that didn't need to happen. That didn't need to happen. We have mismanaged through preservation our forests and our prairies, especially forests, so badly that they're at such a mature state and the fire load is so high that when you do get a naturally started fire, and I think the statistic is like over 95% of wildfires are all naturally caused. They're lightning strikes. We've had it beaten into our heads by Smokey the Bear since we were kids to make sure our fires are out. Well, most people do. Yeah. Most wildfires are started naturally. The problem that's occurring is there's such massive fire loads in our national forests that they burn so hot because there's so much fuel that they scorch the earth, and nothing can the regrowth process, the regeneration process takes decades.
Yeah, say it's 30 years.
What happened in Yellowstone? I live 60 minutes from the east entrance of Yellowstone National Park. Yellowstone National Park is probably one of the greatest ecological disasters on the planet.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows anything about wildlife habitat or even agriculture can go in there and go, wow, there's too much fuel load in here. There's too many bison in here. It's overgrazed. But to the average person who doesn't know about this or doesn't really care about it, it's this some Garden of Eden. And it's like, dude, it's far from a Garden of Eden. It's a perfect example of what happens when you leave things alone.
Yep.
We see it in the predator management in the upper Midwest and in the Western states. Dude, you guys got your hands full down there with that.
Yes, we do.
Wackos that you're dealing with. It is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
My
eminent domain to save wolves.
Yeah, I'm sure you saw my little post about that.
I wrote a blog about it.
Yeah, I was like, bring it. We own 10 acres down in Gunnison. It's national forest land. It's surrounded by national forest. It's a vacant piece of property down in just north of White Pine. And my wife and I stepped foot on that piece of land for the first time when we got back from Germany, and wow, it's just incredible. There was moose. There was a calf with the moose, and they were playing, and I was like, oh, God, this is amazing. This is just incredible. This is God's country. It's just incredible. And I think about that when I look at what we're doing with the introduction of reintroduction of wolves here in Colorado. And, for the amount of animals that are being killed, hopefully I didn't say that too loud, right? Dying. I just want to say that
is the unalived, I believe, is the
unalived, I think would be the word to use. Those wolves didn't ask for that. I didn't ask for them to be here. And I that's a whole nother story that I'm sure we could get into the eaches on, but I don't think that process needs to happen at all, ever, period.
It was happening on its own.
It was doing just fine. The reintroduction.
There were wolves filtering in from Wyoming. It was happening already.
The migration process was doing what it does, and the thing that people forget about is animals will migrate towards a habitat in which they are safe.
Right.
So if we were doing our part and doing the things like you're talking about, and we were doing conservationist activities, those animals would have come back in naturally without, are they a predator? Sure they are. Of course they are. But it would have been balanced. So to the point of like our land down in Gunnison, it was eminent domain. Like, I own this piece of property. It took me, 30 years of my 47-year-old life here to be able to own a piece of Colorado and pay for it. It's paid for. It's mine, right? I should say ours. Make my wife upset. But to think that you need to just leave it alone and magic fairies will come in and take care of stuff. And then this whole eminent domain thing came out, and I was like, bring it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on about it, but and we're talking about things that impact us in outside of waterfowl. This is a shooting podcast, but there are issues at hand with the wing shooting stuff as well. And what I'm getting at is these people are infiltrating our game and fish agencies as biologists and even as wardens, and they're anti-gun, anti-hunting, and they're working from the inside to destroy our hunting heritage.
Yep.
Well, in my mind, it's never been more important to introduce people to hunting. Hunting in particular. Hunters are the true conservationists. You and I know this.
Yes.
Hunters know this. We have all kinds of species on the planet that the only reason they exist still is because of the North American model of wildlife conservation and hunting.
Yeah.
In the conservation work that groups like Delta Waterfowl and Ducks Unlimited and Pheasants Forever do. And then National Wild Turkey, NWTF.
Yep.
I can't spit that out. But so I see that argument about we got enough hunters. I think I agree with you. I think it's selfish, and I think it's short-sighted because you're only looking at it as when you pull up to a spot on public ground, you're upset because somebody else is already there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, it's public ground, dude.
Yeah.
Work it out. Some of the best people I've ever met on the planet are people who, you know what, they're going to set up 200 yards away from me and I'm in the better spot. So I go in and I invite them.
Yeah.
I'll walk down and be like, hey, you guys want to jump in with us? And it's usually one or two people or two or three people. And if I've got a small group, if I can make that happen, I'm like, why don't you come jump in with us? So instead of competing, we're working together. I've met some amazing folks that way. I really have. And most people are great, and now granted, I keep an eye on people I don't know and look at gun safety and things like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm kind of like, I'd rather work with that person so we can both have an awesome experience than compete against them. And that's not feasible on all public land or even all private land. I look at some of the refuge systems that I hunted, management places I hunted in Michigan, in southern Michigan, in particular, southeastern Michigan, where there was hundreds of people out there on a place and everybody had an assigned number that was their section and whatever. But man alive, I just think if we can't get along and can't come together and grow our numbers, the other side wins, man, because the other side is urban and it has the ear of the masses. And Michigan doesn't have a dove season. And that's
right.
Everybody that's listening, you've heard me talk about Michigan a lot. That's where I grew up. Doesn't have a dove season, probably never will have a dove season. We got it on the ballot a couple times when I was living there and it was voting age. And it passed in the rural counties. It passed in 95% of counties. It passed overwhelmingly. You know where it didn't pass? The greater Detroit metro area.
Of course. Yep.
Because in a 9 million person state, 7.5 of them live in the greater Detroit metro area. Same thing with Minnesota. Same thing with Colorado. You guys get outvoted so badly down there by the Front Range that it's really tough. And I didn't think we keep going back to big game, and this is on the Wingmen podcast. But I think about the mountain lion debacle you guys had down there, that you guys got defeated, and good for you, because people finally woke up and went, no. We need to manage these lions. We can't have them just roaming free in our neighborhoods, eating our pets and possibly our children, like it happens in California.
Yeah.
And it's no different in Arkansas when you're trying to manage wetland habitat, or in the upper Midwest where you're trying to manage marshes and in different flyways. You look at the prairie pothole region of the Dakotas, and it's like conservation is driven by hunters.
Yep.
100%. Because we
100%.
love those birds. We love big game. We love the wild, and we're willing to put our money into it. But it's under massive attack. It's under massive attack. And the idea that we have too many hunters as it is. I don't know, man. I think I'm with you. I think it's selfish, and I think it comes out of a very selfish desire to have your little thing, and you're holding on to this, and nobody else can touch it.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, that's what happens in Europe. You look at the European model. I mean, you lived in Germany. You know what it was like. You don't just go hunting in Germany.
No, you're going to be knighted, and you're going to spend about 2,000 to 5,000 euro to be a hunter. And then when you do hunt, you're harvesting animals, and you have to give them to the local population for whatever that means. It's incredibly difficult to hunt in Europe. That is a prime example of what I think is happening here. You're right. It's a ball, and everybody wants to hold on to it. And I have become a huge advocate for women in the outdoors, kids in the outdoors. Like, at what point was it not cool to take your kid bird hunting? Oh, well, they're swinging the gun, and they could hit you and blah, blah. Well, you got to teach them. So what I'm hearing a lot of people say is they're not educated enough to turn around and teach that which they should already know, waterfowl management. We talk about dove, pheasant, all of my favorite upland game birds, as well as all the waterfowl. You have to know how to hunt them, and then be a good steward of the profession and learn how to teach it. And if you don't know how to teach it, this is part of what you were talking about earlier with building allies. You go out to the blind, you see somebody down the way. Hey, brother, come on down here. Ma'am, have you done this before? Jump in here. Let's do this together and figure this out. All the while teaching and perfecting your craft, investing an interest in them only enhances our hunter population. I agree with you. I don't want to see the numbers continue to stay stagnant, really, because I don't think we have enough hunters. But I want good quality, educated hunters involved in this conservation process with us. So that's why I just like you, Todd, I never turn down someone if they're, hey man, I've never done this before. What do you think? Boy, I unload on them. Hey man, you can do this, check this out, go here, go there. Talk to Todd. He's one of the world's foremost experts in everything waterfowl related, but
not really.
You need to know where to find Rogaine, because Mike Tracy said you needed some Rogaine or something. I know it. That's there. I don't use
Rogaine. I gave up on that. I never even tried it.
So just put a wig on.
I went to the barber, and I was like, short on the sides and a little longer on top. And he's like, hey brother, there ain't a lot up there to cut.
Yeah.
I was 21 years old. I've been shaving my head ever since.
Yeah, no.
I'm going to stuff him in a trash can the next time I see him.
Yeah. That's what I told him. I said, I'm pretty sure he could take you, Mike. Pretty positive that could happen. But having quality education is fundamental. I took my son to a hunter education course, and I was kind of blown away by how much was talked about safety, but not necessarily the conservation aspect. So being an advocate for that, I think that's something I would probably try to push to introduce is, hey, our education to a hunter is kind of one-sided. It's safety, 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 safety. Although that is incredibly important.
Right.
Why are we hunting? And a lot of that is kind of left out and left to deaf ears. So that is our responsibility, is to teach, mentor, which is one of the things that I love with Warriors and Heroes Outdoors and PBO. I'm so thankful I get to be a part of both organizations as a mentor. And, you know, I've spoke to, I don't want to say hundreds, but pretty close in numbers to individuals who thought they were doing it right. And collectively, we discovered that they were doing it wrong.
Sure.
So the mentorship part of it is just, that's really my reward. I love being a mentor. I love explaining not only our craft, but I love to hear your story. I love to hear other people's stories and figure out how those relate, because that ultimately helps everybody. And then you're building these relationships. I got guys that I can call, gals that I can call and say, hey, got a hunt with PBO. It's going on up in Brighton. It's this day, this day, this day. Are you down? They're like, yeah, put me in. And then they're there, you know.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit, because you made a really smooth transition there, but I think it probably blew right past some folks.
Yeah.
Tell us about, I mean, you're a man, you do a lot of different things. As people can tell from listening to this, you are a super busy guy, but talk about the Warriors and Heroes hunts.
Outdoors. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
sorry, I got
Warriors and Heroes Outdoors, otherwise known as the WHO, is a veteran organization. It's a nonprofit. And, you know, love to take you know, veterans, active duty, first responder types, to go on hunts and help and share with stories, and bring them into the wildlife environment is one thing, but to share some of the stories and similarities and differences of their could be trauma, could be just no one's ever done that for me, as it was for me the first time I linked up with Warriors and Heroes Outdoors. I cried when Bruce gave me a phone call and he said, hey, Jason, this is Bruce with Warriors and Heroes Outdoors. I want to invite you on a hunt. I was blown away. I mean, I was just blown away by how the storyline that went with it, then the world-class service that went along beside that. I mean, these guys just care. They really care. And it meant a lot to me to go on one of these hunts. And eventually I got to become a mentor, which is how I was introduced to Platte Basin Outdoors through Warriors and Heroes Outdoors, and all these things got put together again, codifying moment, or, you know, and Warriors and Heroes Outdoors is one of those veteran organizations that's just, it's all about the person. From the time you link in to the field event that's happening, to the stories that are shared, I could say that we've helped a lot of people with some of their stories, because we can share them. Right? Most of the experiences of some of the folks that I took on some goose hunts with Platte Basin Outdoors, I had the same or similar experience, and I got through it. And I think we know what I'm talking about, but I got through it. And to share those events with these folks is just, man, it's a gift. To watch the aha moment open up in them and go, wow, somebody really does care about me. And I can't, there is life after the military or that traumatic event that I went through. So Warriors and Heroes Outdoors is just it's an incredible organization. Like I said, it is a nonprofit, but to bring hunters to an organization like Platte Basin Outdoors is incredible, because PBO does an amazing job hosting the events. They're just so generous, so knowledgeable, and being the veteran representative for Platte Basin Outdoors has been a privilege, honestly. The fact that those guys trust me to do this is just it's awesome. Mike doesn't trust a lot of people, but he sure does me, and I don't want to let anybody down, you know.
No, I hear you. I got to help with one of those the very first time that I went and hunted with PBO. We hunted ducks and geese 2 different days, and then there was a third day, and I wasn't going to be able to have a camera person.
Yeah.
And it was a Warriors and Heroes hunt, and I was like, you know what? I don't care if we film this. I want to help. I want to be part of this, and I want to help out. And so I kind of became a de facto guide, if you will, and I'm helping John, and I'm just kind of helping out on that hunt, and just to see those guys' faces, man. And it was an absolute burner of a hunt. I mean, we smoked these birds, and the weather was terrible. And that's
it was snowing and blowing good.
Oh yeah.
So to that point, you were on one end of that hunt. I was on the other with Zach.
Okay.
So it was 2 different hunts going on. Warriors Heroes Outdoors was over here, and then you had the group that you were with, and we kept, that John and I are always talking to each other between pits on phones. Hey, bro, what's going on? Hey, man.
I remember I was sitting right next to John. Exactly.
And I'm watching this, and I'm watching, what your environment looked like was a stark contrast to what ours looked like. Ours was just it was cold, and it was raining a little bit, and then the snow started to come down, but then everything got wet, and the decoys were covered in frost stuff. It was a nightmare. But the best part about both of those hunts was the folks that were in the pits with us. The stories that they developed were just, oh my God. And some of them are just hilarious,
I've maintained contact. I've maintained contact with a couple of those guys from that hunt. I wouldn't say we, talk, we're buddies or best friends, but
right.
On social media, like, hey, send me I'll get a message every now and then. And it's like, that's what matters, man. Yeah. That's what matters, where it doesn't necessarily have to be something that happens every single day, but when a message comes through, or something pops up in your feed and you remember that something, and you shoot somebody a message, you don't know what they're going through on a daily basis. And if you can help somebody out with even just a message, hey brother, how you doing?
Yeah.
Well, man, I sure I remember that day like it was yesterday. What a great hunt. And you're smiling right now just talking about this. And that's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. I appreciate you stepping up and doing that, because there's not enough people in this world that truly care about people, and using hunting and fishing and the outdoors to just love on people.
Yeah. That's a good analysis right there. It's to love on people, share the love, share the wealth of information, and share the hunt, especially waterfowl, because there's a lot of stories with waterfowl.
Oh, dude. God, and it's such a wonderful opportunity, because there's, especially when you go with somebody like Mike and John at Platte Basin Outdoors, you're going to get into birds. That's going to happen, and you're going to get shooting, and you're going to have fun. They've got everything dialed, so it's a high quality experience. I feel like this is turning into an infomercial for
I know it is,
outdoors, right? But no, they're good dudes. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier about working with brands, working with people, working with companies that you believe in.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you believe in those brands and in those products and in those people, you can put your best foot forward for somebody else.
Exactly.
And say, here you go. This works.
Because at 47 years old, for you and myself, by the way, my 47th birthday was this year on August 3rd. I just turned 47.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. I appreciate it. And I've always said this as well. We don't live this life for ourselves. We live it for everyone else around us. We are convoluted in the ideas that, I have. And the reality is what did you give? And this is the moment. This is the moment. It's what you're giving to someone else.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I wrote my mom's testimony yesterday for her. My mom's in her final days, and honestly, I appreciate that, man. But she's going to go home and be with Jesus, and it's going to be awesome, And so I'm happy. We're all happy about that. But that was honestly why I pressed pause on the podcast for the month of July. Is I was blessed enough to get to go spend a month with my parents and just enjoy life. and make more memories with them. But so she can't write, but we recorded kind of like a podcast actually, and I transcribed it and then I wrote it.
Wow.
And for her. And one of the themes that just keeps popping up for her in her testimony was servitude. What can I do for others? Because that's what Jesus did for us. And I don't care if you are a Christian or not. If you have that service mentality and serving others is something that you value, that's what I don't think there's anything higher you can aspire to be real honest. And it's one of those things where I see what you're doing. I see what Mike does by offering all those hunts,
Yeah.
The little bit that I can do here and there to help out and get people involved and just make people happy and loving the outdoors. Even if it's listening to this podcast, driving down the interstate or back and forth to work and you split it up for 4 different listening periods. If it's something that I can put a smile on somebody's face and I can help them enjoy their day better and they learn something or maybe get an idea for a piece of equipment, I've done my job, man. And I'm blessed. I am blessed to get to do this for a living. And it's awesome. I get to sit down and have awesome conversations with folks like you.
I appreciate it. I tell you, again, I was kind of dumbfounded when you reached out, and then when you did, I was like, "This is Todd Helms. I gotta do this."
No.
It was incredible, because I value your friendship and your mentorship as well. And I hope that at some point we'll be able to hunt side by side together. That'd probably be a really cool moment.
Yeah, I think it'll happen, dude. And
I think so.
This fall, this winter, I'm planning on getting together with Mike and the guys at least once. We had it on the books last year, and it was just a bird thing,
I'm aware.
Yeah, Mike told me, he's like, dude, don't waste your gas money to come down here. He's like, it's not worth it. And so we didn't go. And then hunted with them in Nebraska for snow geese. I'm trying to get to Canada for a fall hunt.
Yeah.
Problem is with Wingmen being under the Eastmans umbrella, our assets in September and October are all to big game.
Everywhere.
Go to big game, and rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
And then from November on, it's the Wingmen show. It's like, okay, now it's time to make content for us, and it works. But I'm trying to get up there and go hunt with those guys up in Canada, and that would be a ton of fun. But yeah, it's Jason, man, it has been an absolute pleasure. We have covered a ton of ground in this podcast. I told you wanted to chat do some pregame, and I was like, that's fine, but it's really, I want you to talk about Colorado Gear Guide and Warriors and Heroes Outdoors, and then we'll just talk. And that's how I've always tried to model my podcast. I want it to be a conversation, and I hope folks appreciate it and listen to it. And I can't thank you enough for jumping on here. And I want to really give a shout out to my partners who make this podcast possible: Leupold, Weatherby, High Mountain Seasonings, Kryptek, and Federal Premium. Guys, if you're in the market for gear, please go check them out and check out Colorado Gear Guide with Jason. He'll make sure you get good stuff too. But thank you for listening to this episode of the Wingmen Podcast. Jason, thank you for jumping on.
Thanks, Todd. Pleasure.
All right, dude. We'll see you in the field this fall, hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
All right, dude. Thank you again. We'll talk to you later.
Take care.